Hello, I'm Gator McKlusky, and this is the Burt Reynolds story. Chapter 7.
Well, Gator McKlusky is sitting on a stump with the hammer pulled back on a 12-gauge pump, watching that swamp, looking out for the law. Well, it makes the best corn that you ever saw.
I didn't expect to be number one in the world. 5 years was quite an astonishing feat. The last person that did it was Shirley Temple. I always expected to be a working actor. That's what I started out to be, and I was very content with that. So I'm not unhappy where I am now.
Burt met Loni Anderson for the first time on the Merv Griffin Show in 1978.
There was no sense at the time that anything would happen between us at some future date. I was heavily involved with Sally, and Loni was married to an actor, Ross Pikal, her second husband.
He was just so charming, and he asked me how Ross was handling everything. I remember thinking, how nice of him to even inquire about that.
Loni's husband, Ross, was in fact struggling with her fame as he was referred to as Mr. Loni Anderson. The marriage broke down and Loni filed for divorce in 1981.
Burt Reynolds, Jr.
In December of 1981, Burt was honored as Entertainer of the Year.
The program was one of those big televised tributes that drew everyone from President Ronald Reagan to my parents. Loni also attended. She snuggled up beside me and in a breathy voice whispered in my ear, "I want to have your baby." I thought, that's an interesting way to say hello.
Loni was a popular sex symbol at the time, thanks to her role as receptionist Jennifer Marlowe on the popular sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati. Her work on the show earned her 2 Emmys and 3 Golden Globe nominations.
I'm really going to miss you, Johnny.
I can remember the first time I was aware of him was on television. And my mother was just carrying on about this guy that looked so much like my dad. And she had this enormous crush on him. This was pre-mustache. And yeah, he is gorgeous. He has a quality that I don't think many people have. You can be funny.
What if you turn over and it falls out?
And you can be deadly dangerous. And it's a hard combination.
At the time, Burt was involved with former Miss America Tawny Little, who was with him at the Entertainer of the Year show. Loni was involved with her WKRP and Cincinnati co-star, Gary Sandy.
I didn't want to do a story on how these stations done since the format change.
Don't worry, I'll get rid of him.
But that didn't stop Burt, and shortly after, they had their first date during New Year's in 1981.
I tried to get her to go out with me for quite a long time, and she didn't want to because she thought I was that guy in the magazines, you know.
He'd call and say, I want you to come and spend Christmas with me.
And so I said, would you please just give me a chance, you know, and come down and meet my family.
And I said, no, I have my entire family here for Christmas. I don't even know you. And he said, well, what would it take? Invite your whole family. I'll pay for everybody to come for Christmas. And I said, no, we're not going to do that. I don't even know you.
And I kept trying and trying and trying.
Then he called me every night all the way through Christmas and would talk for hours on the phone.
Finally, after literally a year, I'm persistent when it comes to blondes.
By the end of that week, he said to me, okay, have we talked enough for a third date?
She flew down to Florida, and she came down there for 2 days, stayed a week and a half.
He picked me up in his private helicopter, and we flew over South Florida on the way to his home. It was just so romantic, and he was so sweet and so charming. I was swept away.
For Loni, there was something special about Burt that brought her close to him.
I'd lost my dad. He was only 54 when he died, and I adored him. He looked like my father. He has a great sense of humor, like my dad, and he had that same power and strength.
Loni seemed as if she'd wear me out before I got old. The woman defied explanation. She was unlike any other with whom I'd ever been. Exhausted from 4 days of lust and laughs, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. I couldn't believe what a great time that we'd had together. Some guys hit their 40s and have a midlife crisis. I, on the other hand, fell in love. Loni and I dated for about 2 months before the news leaked out to the public.
Burt's girlfriend, Tawny, was said to be humiliated by Burt. But she quickly moved on and married Dukes of Hazzard star John Schneider in 1983. Not only was John best known for a series built on the legacy of Smokey and the Bandit, he actually had a role in the 1977 classic.
skipped school, talked my way onto the set. At the end of the day, when they were shooting, the last thing they did was Jackie Gleason driving off, and the wheel falls off and rolls into the crowd and hits this tall 16-year-old in the shins, and that's me.
Decades later, Schneider would attempt to reboot Burt's most famous role in the film Stand On It.
Let's haul ass.
Gary Sandy, on the other hand, found it harder to move on and made the set of WKRP an unpleasant place for Loni to be. The show was ultimately canceled at the end of the 1981-82 season.
The beginning of our relationship was so tabloidy. We were just a spectacle all the time.
We were bombarded. I mean, we could not leave the house. People got onto the property. I was serving him breakfast one morning. There was somebody in the window.
It was hard to have a relationship in that atmosphere. Somehow we did it.
Burt had really fallen for Loni.
And he said, Elaine, she's beautiful. She looks like a little Barbie doll. And I'll never forget, I walked out, and yes, she was, just looked like a Barbie doll. She was beautiful.
He even hired artists to do multiple portraits of her.
He loved art, so he would pick out a favorite artist and then he would commission them to do a portrait of me. So pretty soon, there are a lot of portraits of me.
Above all else were her looks. With her platinum blonde hair, impossible curves, perfect skin, blinding smile, Loni seemed to combine the best of all the great Hollywood blondes. Marilyn Monroe, Jean Harlow, and Judy Holliday. To an old high school football player like me, she was a grown-up homecoming queen. She always looked impeccable.
She and Burt were very happy during those times, and they had a lot of fun, too.
David, you have Mr. Reynolds on line 3.
Excellent! Close the door, Sally. But you sweet, handsome bastard. Do I have a script for you? Jim Brooks wants you for terms of endearment. This picture's an automatic Oscar nomination. He wrote the thing for you. You there, Burt?
I'd promised my old friend Hal Needham I'd star in Stroker Ace.
Another car chase picture. Are you sure, Burt? I mean, opportunities like this, they don't grow on trees, you know.
You're going to make a mistake.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think your buddy Hal would understand. Maybe put the film on hold for a little while.
Well, I'm going to sleep on it for a little while. And then I'll let you know. Thank you.
What the hell just happened?
I've done some dumb things in my life, but this is the dumbest.
After the success of Smokey and the Bandit, studios couldn't wait to get Burt back in a fast-moving car, taking advantage of his comedic charm to bring in the largest possible audience into the theaters.
Gentlemen, we have a problem. Them sons of bitches over at Paramount want our boy in some kind of sappy cancer movie. Nobody wants to see that shit!
Yes, sir, I know. We've got the perfect film for him. It's called Stand On It. It's on stock car race, and it's perfect for Burt.
I love it. There's got to be a pretty lady in it, though, you know, like a beauty, like a Penny Marshall. Will Burt do it?
We have his buddy Hal Needham on board to direct. Maybe he can talk him into it.
Hot diggity dog. Tell Hal I don't care what it costs. Whatever bullshit he can come up with, I want Burt back in that car. After he sees the hunk of garbage that Paramount puts out, he'll be crawling back to us for a sequel. So get to it, boys.
Good idea, sir.
Right, sir. We'll stand on it.
Stand on it. Whatever the hell that means, yeah. Fuck out of here.
At this point in his long career, Burt was hoping for more rewarding opportunities.
I'm hungry for my One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm hungry for my Kramer versus Kramer, a project that I can do. I'm more My Ordinary People that Robert Redford directed.
Now, Burt had turned down many roles in his career to that point, but this may have been the part that could have completely changed how Hollywood viewed the man who had enormous success as a box office champion.
You think you could possibly put the top up?
Top's at home in the garage.
Terms of Endearment was written for me, and I regret that more than anything.
It would have been perfect. It was at a time in my life where I promised somebody I'd do a film with, and I said, I can't do that. I got promised so-and-so. That's my fault. But see, I wasn't a grown-up.
Perhaps Burt could have done both films and just asked his buddy Hal to wait for him.
This is something that's very important to me, and we'll do your project later. You can't do it without me anyway, so let's wait. I never thought of that,
After the Cannonball run, Burt made 4 very different movies, and they all made money, even though they didn't tear up the box office like the car chase pictures did.
My philosophy was to look at all the zeros and say, well, after I finish this shit, I'm going to find something I love.
So, sticking to the formula that had previously worked with Burt driving fast and smiling at the camera, Hal Needham directing pretty girls and dumbass bad guys along with cars crashing, you'd think Stroker Ace would have been a box office winner.
Hey, Stroker, we got a race to run.
Burt was producer Walter Wood's first and only choice.
And I saw Burt Reynolds as clearly. It was spooky when I began to look at the dailies. I'd already seen them.
Hey, you boys better hold on, because I'm going to have to stand on it.
Your next picture is what?
Well, I'm going to do Stand on It.
Stand on It was the movie's original title and is said numerous times in the finished film.
Stand on it. Yeah! Stand on it, son. Bye-bye.
As soon as casting began on Stroker Ace, Lonnie got the female lead, the Dixie girlfriend of my Southern Fried Racer.
Is that the one you're going to do with Loni Anderson?
Yeah, you bet. And we're rehearsing every night. Hope I keep rehearsing with her for a long, long time.
Do you have the script yet? No.
Why?
Lonnie, who had earned her first $1 million salary for the role, isn't really given very much to do except gaze adoringly at Burt.
Ta-da!
Although it must have been pretty cool for her to get this Marilyn Monroe moment.
It was funny when Loni Anderson came in, set in the morning, there occurred then the greatest pan shot you ever saw. There'd be 100 guys out there getting ready to do something, and Lonnie would come out of her dressing room and 100 heads would go.
This might be considered one of the more controversial moments in a Burt Reynolds film.
I guess I should undress you. And just pull that right off of there. Now you'll be a little comfortable. Dressed in the old thing.
Hey! What do you think you're doing? Don't even think about it, Burt.
This would be so much more fun if you were here. Who would know?
Damn, Burt. What psychopath wrote this script? It's kind of rapey. Even I would walk away from this one. Come on.
That's safe. Jim Neighbors is in the film. He plays my buddy. The mouth doesn't work right. I mean, look at the lips. They're not under the nose when he sings. They're over here on the side of his face.
How are you, ma'am?
I don't know. How am I?
You looking at the richest man you ever gonna know.
A wonderful good friend of mine, wonderful actor, Ned Beatty plays the head.
Oh, I can make life bed of roses for you, honey pot.
Oh!
Barker Stevenson joined the cast as Burt's nemesis in the picture.
He said, "You're not going to believe me, but we're going to work together."
Stroker. Hello, Audrey.
Aubrey. And I shook his hand and said, "Well, I love that." And I went back and I thought, yeah, right.
I know your name, Audrey Meadows.
Audrey James. Aubrey James.
About a month later, he called and said, "I'm sending you a script. There's no part in the script for you. Don't worry about it. It's going to be great. Just say yes." And so I did. And that was Stroker Ace. I was opposite Burt in that race car movie, and it was a great experience.
As tradition with these films, NFL superstars of the time get cast in memorable roles. In Hooper, Terry Bradshaw found time in between Super Bowls to rough up Sonny Hooper.
You ain't ever gonna learn, are you, dummy?
New York Jets defensive legend Joe Klecko can be seen here in Smokey 2, punishing Buford T. Justice.
Who was that, Daddy?
I don't know, but the circus must be in town.
And Stroker Ace has Super Bowl champion Bubba Smith in a prominent role as Arnold, the strong but kind protector of Clive Torkel.
Hello, Arnold. You do this often?
Wanna be on a winning team?
Lux, we got a new jack band.
As always, Burt's little buddy, Alfie Wise, makes a short appearance.
Hey, you guys, what's so bad about second?
Screw second.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stroker Ace!
I've been driving fast for a long time, but I really didn't know what the hell I was doing, to be honest with you.
Burt spent time learning how to race a stock car for the film.
I thought, if I'm going to do this, I really should go to school.
Ahead of the 1981 NASCAR season, Burt partnered with Hal Needham and the great Paul Newman to form Skoal Bandit Racing.
Burt being the Bandit and Skoal being the sponsors, Burt and Hal's Skoal Bandit. That made perfect sense to me.
Advertising for Burt and Hal's Skoal Bandit is seen throughout the movie.
You know, we could really get ourselves lapped right off the track if we tried to be real showbiz, you know? So we wanted to get somebody that would represent us with some dignity.
Their driver, Harry Gant, was an obvious choice for a part in Stroker Ace.
Here's Harry Gant!
They called him Hurry and Harry, Handsome Harry, but eventually they called him the Bandit.
Hal Needham used old stock car footage of crashes for portions of the film. Unfortunately, the car's numbers didn't really match up, a detail Hal hoped would fly by the average moviegoer.
You shouldn't. Son of a bitch.
And action!
Once again, some of the most enjoyable moments come from the now traditional end credit outtakes.
Come on, guys, clean up your act. This is mine, and this is hers, the quiet one. All right, now let's go. Just stay there and I'll come by again.
You ready, Burt?
I'm ready. Hurry up, I'm molting. Bags.
Come on. Let's have some fun. What do you say?
Not you, Reynolds.
Over here.
Camera mark. That's good.
Okay, come on, Bubba. Action, Bubba.
Damn it, the door won't open.
Burt, I need a little technical advice on this. Reed, what do you think?
Oh, you mean, on this...
Yeah.
Three things wrong, Burt.
Huh?
You know, I've been back here looking this over. The set's kind of weak and your dialogue's kind of weak. I like the people you got here, but the home run is your wardrobe is beautiful.
To no one's surprise, the critics crapped all over Stroker Ace.
It's time for a Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
Stroker Ace is quite simply the worst movie of the year.
Kind of makes you want to cry, doesn't it?
Burt Reynolds, who seems to have given up trying to make good movies.
I don't give a shit.
There are episodes of Hee Haw that are more lively and more funny and more sexy than that dribble.
Very funny.
I wanted to leave this movie, quite honestly, by the time the opening credits were over.
What a putz.
And Burt Reynolds doesn't even try.
It's not very dignified, is it?
The races between Reynolds and the other drivers aren't the least bit realistic or exciting.
Nobody's perfect.
I have the feeling whenever he gets together with Hal Needham, they just go down to the South and have a picnic, and he gets his old pals around and his current girlfriend, and they do another retread of these dumb car jokes.
Did you come up with anything more original than that?
Everybody on this movie gave up before they made frame one.
You know what that boy's problem is? Got too much ego.
Why doesn't he make a good movie?
It's intentional. I thought, I just want to make bad movies.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
Stroker Ace, with a budget of $20 million, bombed at the box office when it opened in July of 1983, landing in 8th place and grossing only $13 million.
I was just somebody who was very aggressive. I liked to just crash and burn or win.
This was the first Burt Reynolds film to bomb in years.
Most of my films are that way. They either crash and burn or they're big hits.
Not since Nickelodeon in 1976, over 7 years and 12 movies ago.
Oh, hey, Burt! Woo! He's so cute! He waved right at me. You see him?
Burt always made time for his fans who came to the set, and all the pretty girls there, of course, but he also loved kissing babies as well.
Burt Reynolds kissed you. Come on.
When she gets older, she'll hear about it.
She sure will. So did I. Took me a kiss. I had to.
I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't want an Academy Award. But when you say that you want it, then suddenly people look at you like the saliva's dripping out of your mouth, and you're groveling in the dirt and stabbing yourself with a knife because you weren't nominated.
The winner is Jack Nicholson, Terms of Endearment.
To make matters worse, Jack Nicholson won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Terms of Endearment.
You need a lot of drinks.
Jack is our best actor of my generation. I like Jack. We're friends. He said, "What an ass you are."
Jim Brooks is one of the nicest, most wonderful, talented people in the world, and the fact that he still speaks to me is amazing.
I didn't realize that if I'd have just said to Jim, "Will you wait for me?" he would have said, "Sure." But I didn't say that.
Every time he sees me, he should go, "What a jerk you are for turning this down." Jack Nicholson, on the other hand, should say, "What a guy."
Who the hell is calling this late? Hello?
I'm sorry to call you so late. I don't know what the hell it is. I feel like I'm gonna die.
You're not gonna die. Calm down.
Well, I'll die.
Here's what I want you to do, Burt. I want you to breathe.
Okay.
You're just having a panic attack about this Terms of Endearment Oscar thing now. Now breathe out. You okay? You all right, buddy? I promise I'm going to get you another movie.
My heart's pounding and I'm shaking.
Now I want you to hold your breath one more time.
Okay.
That's it, Burt. Now, just so you know, calm down. You know, Stroker Ace wasn't that bad. I mean, you had some fun with your friends, and you got to laugh and all, and be with Lonnie, and it sounded like fun.
I want to go to sleep.
Go to sleep, then. What do you want me to tell you?
Can I breathe now?
Oh, shit. You're still holding your breath? Yeah, breathe. You got to breathe, you bastard.
I'm sorry, I woke.
It's all right, buddy. Don't worry about it. First thing in the morning, I'm going to get you another picture. One that's going to win you an Oscar, pal.
Good night.
Good night, buddy.
Good night.
Poor son of a bitch.
I took the part that was the most fun.
Oh.
I didn't take the part that would be the most challenging.
After the success of the dinner theater and Skull Bandit racing, Burt was ready to tackle another business venture, one that was close to his heart.
I'd like to play some football.
Football.
Yeah, would you like that?
So in 1982, Canadian entrepreneur John Bassett had a vision for a new professional football league as the NFL was heading into a strike-shortened, turbulent season.
He was an extraordinary entrepreneur, very, very gifted sports management man. John co-founded the United States Football League and formed a team in Tampa Bay, Florida. I became his partner, and we took the name Bandits.
And I named the team. I picked the stadium, got the investors, hired the coach, got us the players. I mean, I put the package, I published the book. You know, now whether people like the book or not.
The U.S.F.L, where football is still a game.
I got involved because there was going to be a Florida franchise, and I always loved football so much. And there is something about being involved with a sport when you get older that you can't play anymore.
So the U.S.F.L began play in 1983. John's idea was to play the game in the spring to avoid competing directly with the NFL.
From the time I got involved with this team, there was never a doubt about who was running the show. Mr. John F. Bassett, P.T. Barnum of the Bandits.
America's sick and tired of overpaid, drugged-up fucking athletes and $20 tickets to go to sporting events and union hassles and what have you. Why do you think television ratings are off? Why do you think people don't go anymore? They're sick of it.
He wanted the Bandits to be fun to watch, and he made what came to be called bandit ball colorful and unpredictable.
But John putting out a football team wasn't enough. Bandit ball was a three-ring circus, and John Bassett was the ringmaster.
Bet you $10 we score.
Whenever the team scored, our mascot, Bandit, galloped across the field on his trusty steed, Smokey.
He's got it.
I went to all the games and did publicity for the team whenever and wherever I could.
When the coach makes that speech that everybody thinks is so silly and says, this could be the last football game you'll ever play in your life, play it like it's the last football game you ever played in your life.
They call it bandit ball, and it's a new sensation in Tampa Bay.
Well, Burt's buddy Jerry Reed wrote and recorded this fight song, and as expected, it kicked all sorts of ass.
We come from down in Gator country. We are the pride of Tampa Bay. We play football and we're called the Bandits. And we think our brand of ball is here to stay. Bandit ball. Gotta be tough, gotta be rough. Bandit ball. Bandit ball. Let's play all the way. Bandit ball.
If you see people throw and catch better than that, I want to pay and go watch them play myself.
When the Tampa Bay Bandits started the season with 4 straight victories, Burt recorded a personal message for Coach Steve Spurrier.
Steve, I think it's nice for you to be laid back. I think that's very good. And to be quiet and all the things that you are. But you're getting boring. But if you keep winning, it doesn't matter.
I don't know what that means. I've seen it not mean anything, and I've seen it mean things.
Bandit ball was a hit. The team drew 40,000 fans a game, got good TV ratings, and had a winning record.
Even Loni Anderson appeared on billboards wearing a Bandits jersey.
I had very strong feelings about the fact that it would work.
Unfortunately, some of the other teams were underfunded and the owners weren't exactly sportsmen.
I don't like corporate-type people. I don't like guys with hairdryers.
There are always guys who come out of the woodwork and take everything they can get. Donald Trump was one of the offenders.
We just bought this hotel 2-3 days ago. We did it for this news conference. We thought you people would...
He swooped in, bought his New Jersey Generals. He wanted to go head-to-head with the NFL, play our games in the fall.
If God wanted football in the spring, he wouldn't have created baseball.
But we weren't nearly the quality level of the NFL. We couldn't compete with them for fans or advertisers.
We're going to play football in the spring in 1986. We're not going to play in the fall.
John wanted to keep improving the quality of play and grow the U.S.F.L. into something that would someday rival the NFL.
I'm tired of the hassle, and I got a great community with great fans, and they want us in the spring, and that's what we're going to do.
Donald didn't have John's vision or passion for the game. He admitted that and came into the league intending to move the games to the fall to compete directly with the NFL.
I thought if we moved to the fall, we'd create tremendous problems for the NFL and something would happen.
Bullshit we are.
I had a feeling that instead of trying to develop the brand, Donald was angling for a merger with the NFL so he could wind up with an NFL franchise for a song.
Well, I would have liked to have been an NFL owner if I could have gotten in inexpensively. And this was a way of getting, as one alternative, into the NFL very inexpensively.
In my opinion, it was Donald's fault that the U.S.F.L didn't survive.
Mr. Bassett, he went to Toronto for tests. It was discovered that he had 2 brain tumors.
Well, they say you got 6 months to 2 years. That's what they told me.
If you knew John, you weren't surprised to see him still out there stalking the sidelines.
You know, that ain't much time on one hand, but it's a lot of time on the other hand. This is the greatest family in the world. Next to my own and home in Toronto, the greatest family in the world. I love you all.
John, it's all on, Mr. Bassett. Don't have nothing to do with that. I love that. That's just I do.
Bravest man I ever knew faced death with such dignity and humor and class. I never saw anything like it in my life. I think John might have held the league together. But after he died, Donald was like a shark in a tank full of guppies.
NFL teams average almost $1 million in profit. U.S.F.L teams lose $3.5 million apiece.
Donald won the battle, but we all lost the war. And our league folded after the 3rd season.
And U.S.F.L, despite all the jokes about it, if you look at the ball players that came out of that league that made All-Pro, went to the Super Bowl, the guys like Kelly, who I'm sure may be in the Pro Hall of Fame, and a lot of linemen, too.
Easy touchdown, Jordan Leslie.
In 2022, the U.S.F.L reformed and the Tampa Bay Bandits took the field again. I'm sure many of you, including myself, will be pulling for the Bandits' success to make Burt proud. After Stroker Ace, Burt and the gang reunited for Smokey and the Bandit 3. This would be the Citizen Kane of sequels that would go on to win several Academy Awards, including... What? I'm doing something here, what?
Burt turned down Smokey 3. You might just want to move on to the next movie.
How's that possible? Smokey and the Bandit? Without the Bandit? Oh, I guess I should watch these films before commenting. In 1982, Universal Studios did what they could to convince Burt Reynolds to return to the role that had grossed more than $126 million.
Well, that's my seat, but fuck it. Let's get you back in that Trans Am. Name your price, buddy. We got Gleason on board and ready to go. Can I count on you?
Well, I'm not going to make another Smokey 3. Smokey Goes to College or anything like that.
Now hear me out, Burt. This is one hell of a script. We got a shark in this picture, you know. Jaws was a big hit here at Universal.
My feeling is that we did it really well, you know, and I don't think we can do it any better, so I think it's try to go on to something else.
Come on, buddy. I mean, I know you want to be taken seriously as an actor, but your fans, you know, they love these car chase pictures.
I don't think that I've graduated from those films. I don't think that I'm better than those films. I think those films were wonderful, the kind of films they were. I just like to make some other different kind of films.
Bye-bye, baby. Oh, shit. Betty, get Gleason on the phone. We gotta salvage this shit and quick.
Look at that big, ugly fish, Daddy. Looks like your mama.
Holy mother of God. What in the hell is this shit?
Smells like your mama, too.
Is this a film? Did they release this for people to watch?
Jack, Sidney Sheinberg. New plan. Bert's out. We want you to play both Buford and the Bandit. This thing could win you an Oscar. We even got a title. Smokey is the Bandit. 2 roles, we double your salary. What do you say?
I accept this prize as a token of another one of my landmark achievements.
Hot shit. Hey, we even got the director from an episode of Barnaby Jones, but don't worry, I hear he's the next Sam Peckinpah.
So with Jackie on board, the film was finally a go. After 11 versions of the script, Gleason claimed this new one was much better than the other 2 Smokies, with many more laughs.
Daddy, my face is all white.
Well, put a little lipstick on. I'll drop you off at a gay bar. I finally figured out a way to trap the bandit. I have put myself in his place. Also his boots, and his shirt, and his hat, and his coat, and his mustache.
Smokey is the Bandit, Part 3.
Rumor has it that when Hal Needham was asked to direct Smokey 3 without Burt, He threw himself off the office balcony.
Hi there, how are you?
Nice of you to drop in.
Thank
You
you.
okay?
Oh, I'm fine.
So Universal instead hired Dick Lowry, and this is first and only theatrical feature. I wonder why. They did manage to get some of the original cast back to work with Gleason, including Mike Henry as Junior.
You mean I won't be your little dick turd anymore?
We just walked by a penicillin dispenser.
Also, Pat McCormick and Paul Williams return as Big and Little Enos.
I feel like the guest of honor at a crabs convention.
Test audiences hated seeing Gleason as the Bandit and found the dual role plot confusing.
Smokey is the Bandit.
Universal had a real stinker on their hands and needed to change things up a bit.
Boys, this is one hot, steamy piece of monkey shit we just made. There's no way I can put this crap out in theaters. How are we gonna fix it?
Well, sir, we could get Jerry back as the snowman. That might help.
Better yet, let's just make him the Bandit. We got 4 months till our release date. Let's get the best editor in town. Gotta cut this piece of shit into something that doesn't make audiences throw up like they did at the last screening.
I'm gonna be the Bandit. I love it.
After parts of the film were reshot with Jerry Reed, who is now the new Bandit, the film's title was changed to a simpler Smokey and the Bandit Part 3.
But the Bandit is gonna go smoke some Smokies.
Gleason's scenes as the Bandit have never been seen by the public.
Could you possibly tell me how to get to the Florida Turnpike?
But here you can see that the stunt double for Jerry Reed is a heavy-set man clearly meant to be Gleason's double, as they didn't bother to reshoot the stunts.
Watch out for those eggs! Come on, we almost scrambled some eggs back there.
Colleen Camp was added as the Bandit's love interest, Dusty Trails. Audiences didn't really embrace Dusty Trails like they did Sally Field's frog.
One more thing. We're gonna need to put some naked chicks in this picture. It might be the only way to salvage this train wreck.
Oof.
What's wrong, Sheriff?
I ain't seen anything like that since I was a little baby.
Also, make sure there's plenty of tits. I mean, some of these old perverts, they love that shit.
This is a great picnic.
There goes your daddy, and he's mad.
I gotta go. Uh-oh, my clothes.
Now you got breast men and you got ass men. We gotta make sure to put a fine lady butt in there too. We can't disappoint the ass men.
See, my daddy said I had to stay right here and keep an eye on.
As fate would have it, Burt ended up making an appearance in the film.
Hello, Buford.
During a visit to the set, the director talked him into shooting this very last scene.
It's over for the old Bandit.
A sweet bookend to the Bandit films that, at the very least, gave the fans of the series a taste of what was so great about the character and his chemistry with Gleason's justice.
I'll give you a 5-minute head start.
Bye-bye.
But in a strange move, director Dick Lowry cut Burt's cameo by a couple of minutes. I mean, considering the resulting unwatchable mess this film was, you'd think they would have used each and every second of Burt they were lucky to get their hands on, even if it was pointless filler like this cut moment.
About time I turned in the old Bandit.
Won't be ashamed to turn this in.
Well, I had to anyway. I can't even make the car payment.
What did you owe?
$150.
Well, look, now that we're on more intimate terms, I just came into a lot of money.
Oh, really?
I think I can let you have that $150.
Oh.
To no one's surprise, the critics crapped all over this film.
It's time for a Siskelini Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
It's appropriate, I think, that our stinker of the week go to the worst sequels of this sequel-filled summer movie season. It's Smokey and the Bandit Part 3.
Would you get away from me, you shit?
Oh, God. And even the Bandit himself, Burt Reynolds, had the good sense to avoid spending much time in this mess. He appears in only a 2-minute fantasy scene at the end of the picture, and by that time, there isn't much of an audience left, with people being turned off by another stupid chase picture with Jackie Gleason as the fat sheriff driving through the South with a plastic shark on the hood of his car.
Get the hell out of here. I know what time it is.
This is a dreadful racist motion picture.
I ain't scared of these crackers. I'm black and I'm proud.
You ever join the Klan, Daddy?
No chance. But your mama did. When she put on her sheet, she looked like an iceberg with feet.
and I'm delighted to report that Smokey 3 has been a box office bust, and good news, it probably has killed off the series.
I hope so.
Never should have put me in this thing, brother.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds Shitty Film Review.
Burt teamed up with Blake Edwards for the remake of a French film called The Man Who Loved Women.
1, 2, 3, through the legs, and 5, 6, 7.
Warren Beatty was announced as the lead in September of 1982 when Burt had to back out of the project.
Hello. I'm not able to come to the phone right now. Please leave your name and any message you have right after the beep.
Burt, it's Blake Edwards here. I don't want my wife to sleep with Warren Beatty. Any chance you consider coming back? You could make out with Mary Poppins.
So Burt reclaimed the role, a departure for a man who was mostly offered films that show off his driving skills. Edwards wrote the script with Milton Wexler, who was actually his therapist at the time.
C'est vrai qu'il est tordu, mais en tout cas, il le sait.
I think he wanted to flesh out and enlarge on the theme of the original French movie because he found it very fascinating, but for him it wasn't satisfying enough. He wanted to find out what background would cause a man to function like this.
What did you say?
I can't breathe.
Well, don't.
Burt's leading lady was Edwards' wife, the great Julie Andrews. Andrews had nothing but good things to say about her co-star.
He's absolutely charming. He's very kind to people, and he seems to have time for everybody, too, which is very refreshing.
I'm shaking so bad, I feel like I'm in an earthquake.
You are in an earthquake.
Earthquake!
David!
Come on!
David!
Get out of
David!
here!
I find no conceit in the man, and that's amazing because he's such an enormous superstar.
The on-screen chemistry between Burt and Julie were not something we were used to seeing, as this came across a little more like a mother-son relationship than that of lovers. Likely intentional, as Julie's character is playing his psychiatrist.
I'll see you next Thursday.
Have a good time in Houston.
I don't really want to go to Houston. I think we're making some real progress.
David.
Bye.
Did a lot of research on it. I wanted it to be correct. I didn't want to make any mistakes. To stay with his love is agonizing because it means to give up all the unknown lovers yet to come.
Are you married?
No. Actually, the research was really the basis for it all. I had to decide where my character was coming from, what perhaps her own background had been, and so on. That helped.
I just remembered something that happened to me when I was 8 years old. I seen into the bathroom one day, and my mother was taking a bath.
And how did you feel about that?
Aroused.
To listen and to be very still, and in the case of this character, to be non-reacting, because as the psychoanalyst, I had to be so still that I couldn't react if he was trying to make me laugh or if he was getting angry at me or something like that. One had to just be passive.
Come on, you guys. I want you to meet some people.
Also in the cast was the great Mary Lou Henner, who was best known for her work on the hit series Taxi.
The day that we met was the first day that we shot the gas station scene. You're a fast worker, huh? I better leave before one of us gets pregnant.
Well, I'm not that fast.
We have so much chemistry. We just adore one another. You know when you meet somebody and you just know you love that person and there's no, like, awkwardness or anything?
Where's the shower?
He's extremely handsome, extremely sexy, has charisma just oozing out of every single pore.
Greatest on-screen kiss I've ever had in my life. We never had a thing together, and I think that's probably why we were able to work together so many times.
Burt had also directed her in an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, along with Martin Sheen.
Oh, sure. What you want is a reason to quit so you have an excuse to crawl inside a bottle.
She also joined Burt and Dom DeLuise for the sequel to Cannonball Run.
I got one for you and one for him.
But it was her role as his wife in the series Evening Shade that really enriched their relationship.
Whatever happens here on in doesn't matter. Because as long as we're together, it's always an adventure.
Burt Reynolds for Evening Shade.
Mary Lou was the presenter when Burt won his Best Actor Emmy.
Burt Reynolds.
She clearly could not contain her joy.
God
amazing! Yes!
In this amusing scene, Mary Lou tells Burt that she has a good memory.
Well, I don't have a pen or anything.
No, that's okay. That's all right. I have a great memory.
Oh, sure.
No, I do.
In real life, she has hyperthymesia, total recall memory. She can remember specific details of virtually every day of her life since she was a child.
Hey, Mom, what day was Valentine's Day in '79?
It was a Wednesday.
And you're right. You've never explained how you do that.
I don't do it. I just see it.
You're the first man in 5 years who didn't tell me I look like Veronica Lake inside of a minute.
Look better than Veronica Lake.
Oscar-winning actress Kim Basinger, who had just lit up the screen as Sean Connery's Bond girl in Never Say Never Again,
This is it.
follows up that iconic role by stealing all of her scenes in this memorable performance. Kim seemed to genuinely like Burt, similar to most who had worked with him, and had much praise for her co-star.
He's a good old guy. He's truly honest. He has an incredible sense of humor. But there is another side that people don't know, and it's a very sensitive side, a very serious, sensitive, vulnerable. I mean, there are pieces of David that exist inside Burt, and it's amazing. Once you get to know Burt, he's calm, he's soft-spoken, he's intelligent. I could go on and talk about him, but those are secrets that people, I think, have even yet to see. They see a lot of that, I think, in this film, in the character of David that he plays, but I think there's yet even more to see to Burt on the serious side.
Once again, Burt's dog is featured in this film.
Bruiser.
Not a bad ass, Burt.
The next morning, I introduced her to Harry and... Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. You might want to wash that hand, though. You know, you really like them ladies there, don't you? Burt's character, David Fowler, was criticized for being a womanizer and misogynistic.
If I do nothing good for the rest of my life, I'm sure that moment earned me some little time in heaven. I don't believe he's a womanizer. I think he just likes women, all women.
This particular character is not exactly a womanizer, and in fact, every woman that he meets is made to feel very special. He has such a quality about him that he gives to each lady that he meets something very special. They're the better for having known him. So I presume if I were to meet that character, I would too fall in love.
Although the film got mixed reviews, Burt was generally praised for his performance.
Well, I'm real happy. You know, I love what I'm doing, and I'm going in the right direction now, I think.
The advertising for the movie was a bit of a mess. The trailers didn't convey the tone of the movie.
A simple love story about one man's pursuit of a meaningful relationship with half the human race.
Hi, I'm Sue, the babysitter.
Well, at the last minute, the studio pulled the advertising because it depicted Burt holding a rose, a symbol of monogamous love.
Look out!
A month before it was released, the studio ran screenings and audiences were dissatisfied with the film's ending, deeming it too bleak.
Who do I talk to about Mr. Fowler?
Edwards agreed to shoot a new ending, even though the film opened with David's funeral.
And David, these women have walked for you for the very last time. How I wish you were here to enjoy it.
Ultimately, the studio decided to release the original ending, scrapping the reshoots.
It's time for a Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
It's not a great film, but one that is surprisingly entertaining because it is so thought-provoking.
I didn't think he loved women that much. I didn't see any scenes in the movie in which he was really loving a woman in a sense that I would consider to be meaningful on both sides.
I mean, what did Gene Siskel and Ebert ever do?
This man is totally narcissistically self-obsessed with himself.
I mean, where did they get their credentials?
And all he can really think about is looking for the perfect woman so that he can never, everyone he finds, who he idealizes until he finds her, then he has to reject her because the next one is going to be even more perfect.
Two people that are referred to as the fat guy and his friend.
I don't know what Reynolds' problem is specifically, but the movie itself has a split personality. In the middle of it, there's this slapstick comedy with the Texas millionaire and his wife, Kim Basinger, but it belongs in Inspector Clouseau. We know that funny glue doesn't stick that quickly, that it wouldn't be on the bottom of his shoes and on the dog and everything else.
I mean, what did they do in life to deserve to say, don't go to that film, it's a piece of whatever? I mean, based upon what? The enormous hits they've produced, the screenplays they've written, the pictures they've directed, the acting they've done? or is it based upon the fact that one is fat and one is thin?
And at the end, you go out with a long face so that it's two movies and they never fit together.
I mean, it's astonishing to me. And I do get upset about that, yes.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
The Man Who Loved Women opened in 10th place, making it 2 in a row for Burt that shit the bed at the box office. At this point, critics were saying of Burt that his days as being the #1 box office star in the world were over.
I would like to just call this whole session to an end right now. What do you think of that?
I think you should have done Terms of Endearment, but it's your career, buddy.
Damn right it is.
And there you have it. We've wrapped up another chapter in the historic career of the great Burt Reynolds. Hey, Miss Lonnie. Hey, Burt. Hey, once again, I want to thank you for all the tremendous support highlighted by these amazing comments that helped drive me to bring you the most comprehensive tribute possible.
Will you stop?
That always stayed true to Burt's legacy and
Stop.
What? You hate my voice, don't you?
He has a beautiful voice.
He has a beautiful voice, yes, but I mean, the mouth doesn't work right. I mean, look at the lips. They're not under the nose.
Oh, really?
They're over here on the side of his face.
They are not.
They are too.
They are not.
They are too. Can I ask you a question?
I guess. Do I really have a choice?
Is that your real voice? I mean, do you talk like that all the time?
No. I mean, it's my warm southern accent. You hate me, don't you?
I'm sorry.
Are you at least excited for Chapter 8?
I don't give a shit. Watch his mouth.
Well, make sure that you hit like and subscribe to the channel so we can get more passionate fans of the great Burt Reynolds here to help celebrate his amazing legacy. I see it, I guess. Stop staring at me, make me nervous. So as Buddy here takes a nap, just know that Chapter 8 will be filled with more amazing films like City Heat with Clint Eastwood, along with Burt's return to the director's chair in Stick. I want to thank my writing partner, Mr. Al Glasgow, who works endless hours to help me bring these stories together. And that's about it. So until next time, ready, Burt? Gator out.
Watch for new movie reviews and documentary series. Don't forget to subscribe and click on that bell so you know when new reviews arrive.